Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the Cryptoverse. Let me make sure I'm live. I think I am, but it's not showing up just yet. So let me double check. All right, there it is. Um, so I thought that it would be prudent to go live because we've talked about this forever. You know, the idea has been ridiculed forever, and yet here we are, knocking on the door of 50%. So we're gonna try to catch it live. No guarantee that we do because I can't. I mean, I'm not gonna stay here all day. Um, um, Let me just get this on Twitter. So again, right? This is a necessary component of the market cycle. I want to be clear about this. It does not mean that crypto is dying. Okay? It does not mean that your favorite altcoin will never recover, although most of them won't. It just simply is a necessary component of the market cycle where the dominance rally goes up, where we get a dominance rally. And the dominance rally is supported whether the price of Bitcoin goes up or down. Doesn't matter if it goes up or down. Bitcoin dominance should go up either way. And this is why we've said before, right? DCAing Bitcoin is one thing. You know, I've said many times, right? Like a DCA strategy for Bitcoin is likely going to be your best strategy, but is that true for the altcoin market? Not generally. Why? If you want to cherry pick their USD valuations, then maybe you could convince yourself that it's working out. But I guarantee you, for like 99% of the altcoins, or at least most of them, if you look at how their Bitcoin valuations have been performing over the last 18 months, it's probably mostly down. Now, there are some that are not down, but most of them are. And I think you need to recognize that we are just simply in the phase of the cycle where the dominance goes up. It's just where we are. And now that we've broken the range high at 49%, we talked about how, you know, there's not really a whole lot of resistance in here. Remember, if it can come down quickly, it can also go up quickly. Okay? And I think the reason why there's so many people that disagree with this idea is because they didn't join crypto until over here. So they've never really seen what a dominance rally looks like. And especially they've never seen what a dominance rally looks like when Bitcoin's in a downtrend. Now I know today Bitcoin's up, right? Which is great. I mean, look, you're going to have days where Bitcoin rallies. You should. In fact, it's a necessary component of it, right? We need to get Bitcoin has to rally back up, shake out the altcoins even more because they can't catch a bid, you know? They can't catch a bid to say them to say I mean, the problem is like people don't want to buy altcoins nearly as much when the dominance of Bitcoin is going up because you're taking on more risk and you're ultimately likely going to get less reward, right? Than if you had just been in Bitcoin. This entire year we've talked about the same thing, right? Like how or really for the last, 18 months, how Bitcoin's going to go all over the place, you know? It went to 15K, it went to 31K, now it's back down to 26K, right? It's going to go all over the place. But you still should expect the dominance of Bitcoin to go higher no matter the direction of Bitcoin USD. And when you overlay Bitcoin USD onto this chart, you will see what is happening. What is happening? Let's put it on a daily time frame so it's not so, yeah. Look at this. Just look at it for a second. Okay. Bitcoin went up. Dominance went up. Bitcoin's been going down. Dominance is still going up. What black magic is this? Now, again, you might say, well, Ben, Bitcoin's going up today. So how can you say that the dominance goes up when Bitcoin goes down? Guys, get off the 1 minute chart, right? Look at the trend. Look at the overarching trend. The trend for Bitcoin since mid-April has been down. That's what the trend has been since mid-April. I'm not talking about since this afternoon. Since mid-April, the trend by Bitcoin has been down, and Bitcoin dominance has continued to go up, even though Bitcoin's trend against the US dollar has been down. So there's a divergence here. There's a divergence here. What do you think happened the second week of June, the first or second week of June, that you see this divergence? What do you think happened? Well, I'm glad that you asked, because what we saw happen in the first week of June, second week of June, is that Bitcoin fell below its 20-week SMA, right? The week of June 5th, it fell below its 20-week moving average. Now it's almost back up to the 20-week. The 20-week SMA, by the way, is at 26,334. So we're almost at it, right? But it doesn't change the fact that after Bitcoin had a weekly close below its bull market support band, which is where the altcoin market gets completely wrecked on their Bitcoin pairs, even though they were already wrecked on their Bitcoin pairs when Bitcoin went up. But when Bitcoin goes down, they get wrecked on their Bitcoin pairs and their USD pairs. So it was this week, the first second week of June, where the jaws started to open, where Bitcoin was still trending down, but the dominance made its breakout. There's no coincidence that the same day the dominance broke the range high of 49%, we saw crypto is dead trending on Twitter. It's like this every single cycle. Every single cycle, we see the dominance go up, and people think altcoins are dead, and they just think they're gonna only ever go down. The truth is they probably are altcoins are still likely in a downtrend against Bitcoin for sure. We talk, and look at Ethereum, right? Let's go look at the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation. We just put out a video on this not too long ago, talking about how the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation is likely going to collapse. And here it is. Now it's at 0.064. Again, it's just a series of lower highs. Don't get mad at me. I'm just telling you guys, these are just lower highs. And every single lower high, everyone wants to argue about it. But I'm telling you, at this point, it's just been a lower high, one after another. And I think there's a really good chance that the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation is approaching capitulation to much lower levels, where it goes down quickly. I mean, it's been bleeding for a little bit, but I think we're going to get something like this, like a windfall sometime over the next 2 to 3 months, where it goes down a lot. And it's going to catch a lot of people off guard. And a lot of people are going to say it's because of a black swan. But I think the reality is that, we're just there. The cyclical nature of crypto would suggest that the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation needs to go down, which should still provide a significant tailwind to the Bitcoin dominance, right? So, I mean, again, you can see Bitcoin. What was the thesis for this year? Bitcoin goes up and wrecks the bears. Bitcoin goes down and wrecks the bulls, and the dominance goes up either way. So that would lead me to believe, right, that the altcoin market is not worth the risk when Bitcoin's likely going to outperform them, whether Bitcoin goes up or down. So that I think is where we ultimately are. Is Bitcoin is just shaking out the altcoin market, okay? And liquidity is flowing from the altcoin market back to Bitcoin. And I mean, you have Bitcoin right now at around 26.3. I believe we're approaching the 200 week, if I'm not mistaken here. So the 200 week is at 26.5, okay? So keep an eye on 26.5. That's where the 200 week is, $26,518. So it'll be about $250 or so, $240 above where we currently are. It's funny because maybe that'll correspond to 50%. This 50% level is going to wake a lot of people up, I think. Because these people that keep saying that it's just going to go crashing back down, they've been quiet, right? They've been a lot quieter recently. And it's interesting too, because this has been just bouncing off of its 100-day moving average, right? So if you look at the dominance, it's been bouncing off of it hasn't even had time to go back to its bull market support band in a long time. It just keeps bouncing off the 100-day. We made a video about this, right? Where it's just bouncing off the 100-day, and it more or less did it again at 47%, right? It did it at 41%, and then at 43%, and then at 47%. It doesn't even have the time or the patience to wait until the 20-week catches up. That's how bullish it is, right? It's not even going to wait for that. It says to hell with the bull market support band, we're just going to keep going up here. You can also look at the 10-week, which we had a fake out below, But again, if it gets back above it the following week, then it's, it's pretty, it more or less signals that this could be a fake out, right? You have to be open-minded to it being a fake out if it just gets back above it the following week. The 10-week SMA now is at 48.22, right? Or yeah, 48 or 48.21%. So we are in fact approaching it, guys. I mean, we're almost there. We're at 49.89%. I think it feels like we're ringing in the new year here. 49.88%. I imagine that altcoins are getting decimated on their Bitcoin pairs. Look at Ethereum, 0.0645 is down 1%. And Bitcoin's up, Ethereum's down. Look at ADA Bitcoin. 1,000 Satoshis. I've said before, it's probably going to 400 Satoshis. Look at Dot Bitcoin, just going lower. Link Bitcoin. Look at this, it took out its low. We said it's likely going to take out its low. We said that it likely will take out its low, and it's likely going to follow the same path that Aave Bitcoin followed, right? Where people think it's going to bounce and then it doesn't, and it just keeps going lower. AVAX Bitcoin going lower. Matic Bitcoin going lower. Solana Bitcoin still pushing lower. Theta Bitcoin, BNB Bitcoin. They're Litecoin Bitcoin, rejected off the bull market support band, I believe, right? Opportunity cost, my friends. It's all about opportunity cost. It's not about DCAing altcoins because they're at low USD valuations. It's about what are their Bitcoin valuations. And if someone only cares about the USD valuation, then you are simply ignoring the risk to reward play. You have to consider the risk that you're taking on with the altcoin market if Bitcoin's going to outperform it. Because here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. If Bitcoin goes to the 200 week at 26.5 and then gets rejected and goes back down to 25K and then goes back up to 26K, what do you think happens to the altcoin market, right? Like they can't catch a bid when Bitcoin goes up and then they just get crushed again when Bitcoin goes down. Now, if Bitcoin goes down quickly, you might see the dominance temporarily go back down. But anytime Bitcoin gets that temporary rally back up to the upside, it just crushes the altcoin market again. So we need to be aware of this. You need to be aware of how the Cryptoverse works in the pre-halving year. And namely, what happens is that altcoins get wrecked. You can blame the SEC all you want to. It doesn't change the fact that liquidity has been drying up for 18 months and that the altcoin market was not going anywhere. Okay? Now, I'm sure people are going to use any attempt they can to get you to get excited about the altcoin market. Whenever it inevitably gets a bounce back up, they'll tell you again to buy the dip, or they'll say it now. But they've also been saying it for the last how long? Right? Look, it's still just been getting wrecked. Right? Bitcoin dominance has been going higher. It's just been getting wrecked. Please consider this, okay? Please consider this. I want to show you something else. The dominance excluding stablecoins is approaching a pretty major milestone itself. We've talked about breaking the range high, which is an important thing for the dominance to do. The range high excluding stablecoins is actually 55.3%. 55.3. But guys, we're at 54.77 now. So we need to break through this level too. I mean, we can pat ourselves on the back for breaking through this level, which I think is important, even though there's people out there that'll say the dominance is irrelevant. Those same people are probably not telling you that altcoins were going to get wrecked on their Bitcoin pairs. Okay, so please understand that no matter what people say about the Bitcoin dominance, no matter how bearish they are on it, no matter how much they say it's irrelevant because of stablecoins, no matter what, I completely and wholeheartedly disagree. And it is only the Bitcoin dominance is the only thing you needed for the last year and a half to tell you that altcoins were not worth the risk. The fact that the dominance was this low and just ultimately putting in one higher low after another, excluding stablecoins, and slowly trending higher. You don't need to know what Bitcoin's valuation is on its USD pair to understand if altcoins are worth the risk. The only thing you really need to know is where is the Bitcoin dominance. You know, if it's in the 40s, the altcoin market is likely not worth the risk. It doesn't mean that some altcoins can't go up on their USD pairs if Bitcoin rallies, but they're just simply not worth the risk. We're now at 49.9%, guys. We don't really have that much further to go. Like I said, maybe as Bitcoin tags that 200-week moving average at 26.5, that could correspond to the dominance hitting that 50% threshold. The Ethereum Bitcoin valuation is now at 0.06447, 0.06446. Dominance is now at 49.91%. I believe we should be breaking 50% momentarily. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come on here alive. The dominance excluding stablecoins again is now at 54.77%. Okay, so excluding stables, dominance has been putting in higher lows this cycle since May of 2021. You know, people can say all they want to about altcoins and how maybe they've been holding since last September. That's including stablecoins, right? You shouldn't include stablecoins in your assessment of the altcoin market. You should exclude stablecoins when you're trying to understand how altcoins are performing on their Bitcoin pairs through the Bitcoin dominance. If you want to really understand how the altcoin market is performing during that time period. And you can see that since September, including stables, dominance has been going up. But excluding stablecoins, the dominance has been putting in higher lows since May of 2021. You know, forget September. This has been one higher low after another, and most people don't want to believe it. If you put a moving average on here, a 30-day SMA, you can see a pretty large base being formed. And how many videos did we make talking about this? The large base of dominance being formed, taking a longer-term moving average and watching this base be built out just like it was over here, and ultimately acting as a launch pad to 60%. That is what I think is happening. And, you know, people have been fighting the trend for a long time, and on a weekly basis or even sometimes a monthly basis, you know, you can get pulled into it, thinking that it's going back down. And I know a lot of people have called for much lower levels, but right now it's sitting at 49.89%, and I'm guessing it's likely going to break out to above 50% in the not so distant future. And it's interesting too, because, you know, Bitcoin is up about 3%. And this is a great example, right? Where Bitcoin's up 3%, the altcoin market is up 1%, right? So yes, the altcoin market can go up on their USD pairs if Bitcoin goes up, right? Like, we're not saying that they can't. They can. What we're saying is that if you're trying to figure out what makes the most sense to have in a crypto portfolio, if you agree that the dominance of Bitcoin is going up, then where is the justification for being heavy into the altcoin market? Where does that justification come from? You know, and I can't find that justification. To me, it's just not really justified, because again, the dominance is likely going to go up and crush the altcoin market, no matter the direction of Bitcoin USD. So again, great example today, right, where Bitcoin's up 3%. The altcoin market is only up 1%, right? So you have 3% versus 1. And because of that, the dominance is up. You know, it opened the day at 49.42%. Now it's at 49.82%. So it's up 0.4 in a day, which is pretty substantial, right? It's pretty substantial. It's a pretty substantial move in a relatively short period of time. So we'll continue to see if it can actually break out here. It's still hovering around that 49.8, 49.9 level. Bitcoin is now at 26.4, so we're still below the 200-week moving average, which is at 26.519. Right, 26.519 is where the 200-week SMA is. So do keep that in mind. And if Bitcoin, I will say this, if Bitcoin falls back down, then you could see the dominance temporarily go down, but then on the next push up, right, on another surge, like a $500 surge or a $1,000 surge, the dominance should just continue to go up with it once again. So we've seen this play out, since September, really. I mean, this has been playing out since September on the Bitcoin dominance including stablecoins. And it's been playing out since May of 2021 when you exclude stablecoins. So it's been playing out for a long time, right? A very long time. So we'll see if we can break 50% on the stream. Let's see if we have any questions. How far do I think Bitcoin dominance will go? My general expectation is to ultimately hit 60%, but I still think we're months away from that. Like, I don't think we're going to hit 60% like this month or next month. Probably the earliest we could hit 60% is this September, I'm not promising that we have to hit 60% by September, but I would say that September might be about the earliest that it could theoretically happen. I'm not going to say that it can't happen in August, but normally when you get these dominance rallies, it just takes a few months for it to really play out. So I would say my goal for the dominance rally is to ultimately reach that 60% milestone. Would I say that dominance will turn around this September? I think there's a good case to be made that dominance could see a pullback starting in September. Yes, because normally that's what marks the turning point. Whatever the direction Bitcoin dominance is going before September, it tends to reverse course after September, and whether it's going up or down. So like this was last September, right? It reversed course. If you go to the September before that, so that was September of 22. If you go to September of 21, you can see that it got a surge there. It sort of reversed course, at least temporarily. If you go to September of 2020, you can see that it reversed course there, but it was going down and then it went back up. And you could keep going further and further back, right? Like even in 2019, right? September is where the dominance rally ended, and it didn't mean that it didn't continue to go up later on. Or sorry, this is 2018. That was 2018. This is 2019 right here. So every September you can see that it reverses course, right? So whatever direction it's going into September, it normally goes the other way coming out of September. And so if it's going up, it then tends to fade after September, like this. If it's going down into September, it tends to go back up, right? Down, goes back up, down, and then back up. So I would say, yeah, like there's a good chance that by September, we could see the dominance fade. It doesn't have to be a permanent fade, right? Like it could go up, to September, something like this, right? And then fade, right? And then go back up, right? Like it could do something like that. But oftentimes September does mark sort of like a turning point in the dominance rally around that September timeframe. That was a good question, though. I think we've talked about it a little bit before. Maybe it's worthwhile to look at this downtrend for Bitcoin to see what it's so if it comes back up to the top of this trend line, or sorry, yeah, to the bottom here. So around 27.4. So I mean, $1,000 higher from here gets you back up to the trend line. $1,000 up, and I have to imagine if it goes $1,000 up from here, we're breaking through 50%. We're still not at the 200 week. And again, another way to get to 50% is to dump back down to like 25K and then pump again, and then that gets you to 50%. Right? There's a lot of different ways you can get there, but it normally what Bitcoin dominance does. I mean, Bitcoin shakes out the altcoin market to the downside, and then it goes back up and leaves them behind. If dominance reverses in September, do you expect a small fade since Bitcoin is the first to rally? Yeah, I think I would expect a small fade. What are your thoughts about the similarity between the big caps catching bid and traditional finance and Bitcoin dominance doing the same? Yeah, like I've said the same thing before. I think that, and it's a great question. And if you came to that conclusion, I think it shows that you're thinking really hard about how this all relates back to one another. I think the same thing's going on in traditional markets. There's this a flight to relative safety, and I think you're right. I think that's what's happening. Will anything change your thesis, like crypto getting regulatory approval? Well, I mean, I do think there will be some type of regulatory approval at some point, but by that point, I think the dominance will be at 60%, right? So, I guess you're asking if it happens today, will it change my thesis? Probably not, but it could be the thesis that causes the dominance to fade later this year. Make sure you guys give the video a thumbs up if you like the content. Do you think Bitcoin is not good investment for long term? No, I think it is. I think Bitcoin's a great investment for long term. But I mean, it also depends on what your definition of long term is. If your definition of long term is 3 months, then no, Bitcoin is never a great option because it's super volatile. But I would say the same thing about the stock market. If your time frame on the stock market is 3 months, I mean, honestly, what a lot of people would say is if you need the money within the next year or so, the stock market is not really a great option, or even 2 years, the stock market is not a great option because anything can happen in 1 to 2 years. But 5 to 10 years from now, most everything resolves higher in a more sustained way. And I mean, look, I think that if you're standing here today and you're trying to figure out what you should do, Bitcoin is more likely to stand the test of time than any other cryptocurrency. I still think there are others that will stand the test of time, but if you only had to pick one, it would be Bitcoin, right? And the dominance rally continues to sort of confirm that idea. So when to look back at the altcoin market, someone asks. I think first you really need to see this dominance rally play out for at least a couple more months, and then if the dominance has broken through some pretty major milestones, 50%, 52%, 55%, assuming that happens, then I think the altcoin market becomes a more valid play. Ideally 60%, right? Ideally. I'm not saying that you should wait till 60% to consider any altcoins, but if we get to the point where dominance is at 60% and everything's nuking on their USD pairs, that probably would be a relatively more attractive time for the altcoin market. But I don't really think the altcoin market on their Bitcoin pairs is attractive today. Okay, I just don't. How low can the ETH Bitcoin valuation go? My target for a while now has been the 0.03 to 0.04 range. That's sort of like my initial target, and if and when we get there, I might reassess what I think, but around that 0.03 to 0.04 range. What are my thoughts about Bitcoin dominance if a recession occurs? I mean, my guess is that Bitcoin dominance would go up, but I mean, again, recessions get priced in before they actually happen. So once you're in a recession, you might actually see the dominance start to fade back down because people are looking on the other side of the recession. Probably the very early stages of recession, dominance goes up, but the latter stages of a recession, dominance probably goes down. Will I create at some point an updated video on modern portfolio theory? Nothing's really changed recently. I don't think. Um, if you were to look at it, so this is a portfolio consisting of just Bitcoin and Ethereum. So the Sortino ratio is maximized with 76% Bitcoin, 24% ETH. The Sharp ratio is maximized with 71% Bitcoin, 29% ETH. And then to minimize volatility, it's 93% Bitcoin, 7% ETH. That's just based on this mathematical exercise. Do I have a target for ADA? I'm guessing around 400 Satoshis. Okay, 400 Satoshis is where I'm thinking it's headed. I've been saying that for a long time. This should not be any news. We've had this chart forever. I think it's eventually going to make its way to 400 Satoshis. Yeah, I mean, I think the issue with people asking about all this stuff with the altcoin market is normally what happens is by the time they get to the point where they're asking me, you can find temporary local bottoms on altcoin, Bitcoin pairs. And so then, like, the altcoin might rally up against Bitcoin just as people capitulate to Bitcoin. And then they get stuck selling the most recent local low. And then they just have to wait another 2 to 3 months for it to roll over and put in a new low. So you have to be careful. We're still right around 49.7, 49.8. Haven't made that move yet to 50%. Yeah, I mean, Ethereum, Ethereum is at what, 0.0652? Okay, so it did pop up a little bit here. But it's still, I think this is going to be a sustained downtrend by the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation. I think it's likely going to take out this prior low here, right? So you have these lows where it's currently trying to hold. But at the end of the day, I don't really think these are going to hold, and I think the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation will eventually collapse below all of these levels. I mean, it's probably not going to do it as quickly as I've drawn on here, but I do think that we will see that happen. Make sure you guys subscribe if you're not subscribed, and give the video a thumbs up. Like the video. How low do I think the market cap for stables is going to go? That's a good question. I don't really know. Let me just pull it up so people can see it. It's been in a downtrend really for a little over a year now. So if we were to pull up monthly candles for stablecoin, just stablecoin market cap, it's been in a fairly sustained downtrend, since April of 2022 or so. I mean, how can we possibly predict where it's going to end? Like, it's not like this chart gives us any clues based on historical data as to where it might actually end. I have no idea where it's going to finally find a low. Who knows? Maybe some people will say we need to go down to this level and go down to about 80 billion or so. But honestly, I have no idea. I have no idea how low it's going to go. That's up for interpretation. I was noting though that it was sort of it was last week when we broke below the March low that the altcoin market capitulated, right? The altcoin market fell like 30% the same week that the stablecoin market cap took out its March low. Yeah, we're still at 49.75, so it's not, I don't know if we're going to capture it on the stream. And if we don't capture it on the stream, we're probably not going to capture it live because I'm not going to just like pop on and off the stream. We have gotten pretty close. I think we saw it go to what, 49.92? 49.92, so we've gotten pretty close. We might have to give it, it might take a little bit longer to actually get there. Will Ethereum ever flip Bitcoin? Oh, sorry, you're asking will Ethereum dominance ever flip Bitcoin dominance? I don't think so. You can look, I mean, if you want to get some idea of liquidity, you can look at the Fed's balance sheet. Of course, you should probably look at the balance sheet of other central banks as well. But if we do look at, say, like total assets for just liquidity in general, for, here by the Fed, I mean, it's actually close to taking out its March low. So I've put this idea out that, as the stablecoin market cap took out its March low, that's when microcaps sort of capitulated. I'm curious if maybe when the Fed reserves here, when they are on the assets by the Federal Reserve, if and when it drops below the March low, maybe that would mark some type of turning point, or at least a local top on the S&P. $49.76. We'll see if we can push back up and get back to that, close to that 50% level. Though I feel like the only way to get to 50% is the two main ways. One is Bitcoin rallies, maybe another $500 or something. The other is Bitcoin dumps and then rallies back up to where it is now, right? So there's different ways that you can get there, but ultimately it probably will involve some type of push higher in Bitcoin. Whether it happens now or whether it goes down, crushes altcoins again, and then comes back up is anyone's guess. But I do think that we will hit 50% probably within the next week or so, honestly. Someone asked me on Twitter yesterday, when do I think we're going to break 50%? And I said within the next 2 weeks. But it's probably going to happen, within the next week. But maybe I would say 2 weeks just to try to provide some wiggle room. 49.78. No, the yield curve has not been uninverting yet, no. Will the Ethereum accumulation phase of a lifetime video come in 2024? Probably. Maybe late this year or early next year. If you think back to the last one, I put it out in 2020, so why not just put it out in 2024, the next one? At what dominance level do you start to think Bitcoin season is waning? My target is 60%, but you could see it slow down around the 55, 57, 58% level. Like, there's no guarantee it makes it to 60% in this rally. Although I do think it will eventually make it to 60%. I'm not sure if it could make it to like 58%, come back down for a few months, and then rally to 60% or more in the halving year, right? There's a chance that happens. I think there's a case to be made that it's just going to rally to 60% now. But that's I think what the ultimate consideration is like, does it hit it there now, or does it rally maybe to like 57% or 58% and then rally again in the halving year? It's slowly moving back up a little bit here. We're back to 49.78%. I mean, still need a fairly substantial move to get to that 50% level. Make sure you guys give the video a thumbs up if you haven't yet. Do I think the BlackRock spot ETF will be approved for Bitcoin? I have no idea. I mean, we've been hoping for this forever. But I don't know. I don't know. I think most of their ETFs do get approved, but I believe they're going to self-custody. I think they're going to custody the Bitcoin at Coinbase, which is also being sued by the SEC. So who the hell knows? Am I still interested in the real estate market? Yeah, I mean, I am. I'm not really an investor in the real estate market, but I'm interested in it for sure. Well, guys, it's getting somewhat stagnant in here, 49.77%, and it's not really moving. So, it's not as much of a fun watch party when, sorry, I'm getting a call. So yeah, we're still at 49.76. So I would say one of two things need to happen to get us to 50%. Either we go back down to like less than 26K, maybe we go back down to 25.5 and then pump back up again, or we need to go closer to 27K. Either one of those two scenarios should get us to 50%. So if we go down first, the dominance would probably go back down temporarily, but on the next move to the upside, it should go back up. And if it just goes up now, then it should get us to that 50% level either way. So those are the, hold on a second. Sorry. Someone says I have to draw the house to get to 50%. Yeah, why don't we call that? We can write that one off as a rookie mistake. Maybe if I had drawn a house here, it would have made it to 50%. That's a good point. I guess that one's on me. Maybe we'll have to wait. Maybe we'll have to wait until the next attempt. Someone says Ethereum is also going up. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's up. I mean, so Bitcoin's up 3.01%, Ethereum's up 3.01. They're actually, so yeah, Bitcoin's only, it's about the same. Bitcoin and Ethereum are up about the same today, but um, Ethereum is down significantly over the last like week or so, right? It's like it did pop up there. Yeah, like it has had a, I guess technically the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation is green right now today. But yeah, ever since here, it's rolled over. And again, June is normally what marks the turn of the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation. That June timeframe is normally what in fact marks the turn. Someone says we should play chess to pass the time. We can do that for a couple minutes, I guess. If you want to play me in chess, feel free to challenge me, and we'll keep the dominance tab open just to see kind of what's what and who's who. But if you want to play chess, I'm not doing these 3-day, 1-day, 7-day nonsense. If you want to play me in 3 minutes, we can do that. As we wait for the dominance to see if it wants to make its move. I don't see any challenges, so I'm not. Maybe I'll just go back and look at the dominance. Maybe while I'm waiting for you guys to challenge me, I'll do a puzzle rush. These are always fun. Someone challenged me, so by the time I finish with this, we can play. Dominance is at 49.77. Still at 49.77. $49.76. Still 49.76. You guys aren't missing anything. I don't see it. Oh, here. Got that one wrong. Now, I mean, dominance is actually going, it's now down a little, 49.75. Still at 49.75. Got it wrong. Here. All right. Yeah, okay, it's now at 49.71. So we might, one of the things that we said is that one of the paths to get to 50% is for Bitcoin to pull back down for a little bit and then to go back up and sort of break up the altcoin market again on their Bitcoin pairs, because again they struggle to catch a bid when Bitcoin goes up. If Bitcoin goes down too quickly, the dominance can get a temporary correction, right? So it's not that surprising to see that. Again, we've waited forever for the breakout to occur, right? I mean, we've waited forever for this breakout to occur. And now that it's occurred, we are slowly pushing higher. But I really do think that probably within just a couple of days or so we should be. I mean, I said on Twitter, right, within 2 weeks, but really I think probably within the next couple of days we should be going above 50% dominance. We either just need a pullback and then bounce back up, or we need to just go up another $500 and we should see 50%. I don't know. I mean, whatever way you you prefer. Okay, it looks like we got some people here. Dominance is at 49.74. I'm playing Take My Night 99. I will try to do that. Back to 49.75, so also a 5-minute game. I normally play 3-minute games. I don't even know the last time I played a 5-minute game. Seems weird to play it on this time frame. Dominance is at 49.75. You guys still haven't missed anything. It's probably going to take a little while because it kind of lost some of the momentum it had. So, yeah, I was kind of hoping they would go there so that I could do this. And now I forked the queen and the rook. I feel like it's hard to talk and play at the same time. Yeah, that was not a good move. Because now I get the rook. Yeah, good game. See, they just that's the hard part, and it kind of separates when you're around 1,000, 1,100, 1,200. I think the biggest thing that separates like that from like 1,500 and onward is hanging pieces like that. Like that's it's like basically what you want to try to make sure you do is like anytime you move a piece, try to make sure you're not hanging this like something else. So like that's there's series on YouTube that you can watch to try to help with that. Um, but I mean, whoever this was, right? So there's two things to potentially learn from. Let me just clear this really quick. So, um, sorry, there's someone like right outside my window. So this was sort of a trick to try to get you to go here, because then like this spot is opened up for the knight to fork it. So this move in and of itself wasn't really a great move. It's just that because you did that, I could fork the queen and the rook, and the rook is worth more than the knight. And then the other thing is when you moved here. So before you moved here, I thought you were actually going to take the pawn. So I didn't even think you were going to move the rook. I thought you were going to take the pawn. And so when you moved here, I figured there was still a chance that you wanted to take the pawn. So I moved the queen here so that if you don't take the pawn, I can take either this pawn or I can take this pawn, probably this pawn, so that then the knight is loose. And if you do take the pawn, then your rook is hanging. So that was the reason I did that. But I mean, I thought, I mean, for 925, like that wasn't a bad game. Just I think the main thing you have to work on is just try not to hang a piece. I still hang pieces sometimes, honestly. I still do. But I think that's the biggest threshold from getting to like 900 to 1,200, 1,300 is trying not to just like hang the piece and just completely overlook it. But it's still a good game. So the dominance is at 49.76%. So, yeah, I mean, not a whole lot of movement here. It seems like we've lost a little bit of the momentum we had. So, I mean, I still do think we'll break it, but I just don't know if it's going to happen on this stream. I mean, if you look at like hourly candles of the Bitcoin dominance, it has been pretty aggressively moving higher. So yes, like I do think it will likely continue, but is it going to happen within the next hour? I don't really know. This was just a lot of momentum we were carrying. So I'm like, all right, we're getting pretty close. Let's see if we can nail the 50% level on a live stream. But at least at this point, we have not been able to capture it. Someone says they've never played chess or learned the rules and they're 32. Well, there's never too late to learn. Someone asked how come alts are also pumping. Remember, if Bitcoin goes up, altcoins can go up on their USD pairs. But for the most part, their Bitcoin valuations will still go down, right? Like if you look at ADA Bitcoin, it's down 2%. Bitcoin's down 1.5%. Link Bitcoin's down 2%. Uni Bitcoin is up about 0.5%. But in the grand scheme of things, look at the Uni Bitcoin chart, right? Like it looks pretty bad, right? I mean, it is back down to these levels, but just like Link, just like Aave Bitcoin, I do think it will eventually break below its summer 2022 low. Litecoin Bitcoin is down almost 1%. Theta Bitcoin, BNB Bitcoin, Aave, AVAX Bitcoin, Matic Bitcoin, they're all down on their Bitcoin pairs. There are a couple that are up, like Solana Bitcoin is slightly up today on its Bitcoin pair, and so is Maker Bitcoin. But for the most part, right, and this is another one that's probably going to eventually take out this prior low. For the most part, they're down on their Bitcoin pairs, which is why the dominance of Bitcoin is up. So when we talk about altcoins, the altcoin reckoning, we're not referring to their USD valuations. I think their USD valuations likely go down, but we're more so referring to their Bitcoin valuations. Their Bitcoin valuation is the more relevant component to the altcoin reckoning over USD valuations. Hopefully that answers your question. What are my thoughts on Solana? I mean, I'm guessing it still needs to go down on its Bitcoin pair and likely its USD pair. I mean, it might bounce back. Look, a lot of the altcoins got decimated last week, so there's always these sort of mean reversion trades that some short-term traders might try to take. I still think that most of them are going to go lower in the second half of the year on both their Bitcoin pairs and their USD pairs, if I had to guess. What is the highest level I've gotten on Puzzle Rush? I don't really play it that often. I mainly just play it on stream and maybe like once a day at most, usually, but I don't play it that often. Someone says they view every altcoin except Ethereum. They think that every altcoin except Ethereum will fall heavily. Ethereum is viewed as a completely different way now compared to last cycle. I would love to buy more below 700 though. Yeah, I mean, look, it's true that altcoins bleed to Bitcoin, but they're also generally bleed to Ethereum. I mean, look at if you take a look at a lot of these altcoins on their Ether pairs, they've also gone down a lot, right? I mean, that's just the truth, right? Like ADA ETH has fallen down a lot, and I'm guessing it could continue. I mean, it might go back up eventually, but if you look at this, I'm guessing it's going to come back down and kind of ride this trend line for a little bit, like it has done in cycles past. Aave ETH is pushing lower. The last time I looked at it, it was only down 89%. Now it's down 91% almost. AVAX ETH. And you can see, like, the last time we did the video on the altcoin reckoning, how far I said we needed to fall just to get back to being an oscillator. And since then, it's fallen even more, right? So now, I mean, so it was 40%. Now it needs to fall another 32%. The hardest thing about the altcoin reckoning is just waiting, right? I mean, a lot of these things are oscillators at best on both their Bitcoin and Ethereum pairs. And so just kind of waiting is the hardest part. .eth just continues to push lower. BNB ETH looks like a double top to me. Link ETH took out its May 2022 low. So, I mean, I think you're right in the sense that Ethereum should be viewed differently than the altcoin market. I think you have Bitcoin, you have Ethereum, and then you have the altcoin market. But while altcoins bleed to both Ethereum and Bitcoin, I do think that Ethereum also bleeds to Bitcoin. I mean, this is, of course, is the most polarizing view that I probably have. But I still would, again, point to the idea of lower highs since the merge and really since late 2021 as sort of evidence that Ethereum is bleeding to Bitcoin. It's just doing so very slowly. But if you had taken the reverse approach and said that it's going to go up against Bitcoin since the merge, you would have been wrong, right? I mean, it's been trending down since the merge. Do I play any real-time strategy games? Yeah, I have. All right, we're back to 49.8. 49.8%. So we've recovered from our local going back down to 49.7. We're back up to 49.8. Let's see if we can push back up to 49.9 and make that final push to 50%. Not final. I mean, I do think it's going to go a lot higher than 50 eventually, but all in a day's work, right? Do I play Civ 6? No, I haven't. I'm also keeping an eye on the S&P because I mean, if the S&P rolls over, that would be bad for crypto. It's only, I mean, it's at 44.20, so it's not a ton down a ton, but it is slowly pushing down, only down about 0.11% today. Someone says Bitcoin is retesting the 200 week at 26.5. Yeah, we talked about that earlier in the stream. That is kind of what is holding it down at the moment. About 26.518, 26.519 level. Someone says watching the Bitcoin dominance move higher is like watching the crypto market Healing itself, yeah. I mean, I think that's true. I think the market is, the dominance going higher is a sign that the market is healing. We're still sitting at 49.79, 49.8. Did my opinion on ADA change recently? No, my opinion is the same. I think it's going to go down to 400 Satoshis eventually. I've had this opinion for like 15, 16 months. That's my view. I still think it's going down on its Bitcoin pair and USD pair probably too, but Bitcoin pair is more important. Will crypto lose volatility in the future and be like stocks? I used to think that, but I said that back in 2019, and then it looked like the stock market became more like crypto. So I don't really know. I mean, yeah, if the Fed just keeps printing a ton of money, then you could see just everything become more and more volatile. I mean, in general, I would expect Bitcoin to not be as volatile as cycles past. It's just that you know, watching the equity markets in 2021 was almost like watching the crypto markets, right? All right, guys. I don't know if I want to stay on here for forever. I mean, we've already been going for an hour, and we're not at 50%. I do think we'll get to 50%, but I don't know that I want to just sit here and watch the day go by, just chilling at 49.77%. So look for it. Probably going to happen within the next few days. If Bitcoin USD goes down and you see Bitcoin dominance go down with it, you should not assume that it won't go back up. Like, I think it will go back up, right? So even if Bitcoin goes down, even if the dominance temporarily goes down, it should not be a sustained move. We likely would see the dominance continue to go up, um, as sort of the days pass us by. So again, like, we're at 49.79 right now. As much as I would love to wait around and watch it hit 50%, we have been going for about 62 minutes, and so perhaps we should wrap it up there. If I look at it, maybe if I just quickly look at it on minute candles, see any of this momentum. All right, I'll stay on it for every minute candle that is green. I'll stay on. Okay, so as long as the minute candles stay green, I'll stay here. But right now we're at 49.79. It's gonna be tough for it to stay green for 20 for 20 points here. I mean, to go from 49.8 to 50. I do hope you guys enjoy your weekend. All right, let's see if the dominance minute candle is green or not. If it is, we'll stay on for another minute. Looks like it was green, so we'll stay on another minute. We'll stay on until it's red, and then I'm leaving. Someone says a watch level never breaks. That's probably true. What'll probably happen is I'll end the stream, and then 30 minutes later, it'll happen. That's probably what'll happen. If history is any indication, that's probably what'll happen. Is it'll break it like 30 minutes after the stream is over. All right, we're still at 49.78. Looks like it's going to be a red candle with only 12 seconds to go. All right, there you have it. It's a red candle. We'll wrap it up there. Look for the dominance to hit 50% relatively soon. within the next few days, and we will take it from there. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you guys